Alright, so we have a new movie called The Super Mario Bros. And the plot for it is pretty much this. With help from Princess Peach, Mario gets ready to square off against the all-powerful Bowser to stop his plans from conquering the world. Alright, let's get into it. The first thing that I like about this movie is the fact that the animation is really good, and Illumination's known to have some really great animation, but this might be the best that they have done. Another thing that I liked about this movie is the fact that the voice actors are actually really good in this movie, and if you've seen the reactions for this movie when they announced the cast, they kind of went a little bit like this.
What? No! No! Why?
Played by Chris Pratt.
No!
Oh gosh.
What?
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 And honestly, I was concerned for the voice cast. It seemed like they just, casted all these people just because they were all big names like Jack Black, Chris Pratt, Anya Taylor-Joy, Seth Rogen. These are all big names in the industry, and it feels like this was just to get people in seats. And also seemed like a pretty easy paycheck for all of the actors. But honestly, I'm really surprised with Chris Pratt in this movie. A lot of people were concerned that he was just going to play Chris Pratt in this movie, but he actually, tries his best at least to give a really good voice. I'm not going to say it was perfect, but I do think that he was pretty good. And Anya Taylor-Joy was pretty good as well. Keegan-Michael Key was a standout for me as Toad. It would have been cool to see a bit more of him in this movie, but he was pretty good for what he was given. And obviously Jack Black is the carry in this movie. Also Seth Rogen was really good in this movie, but specifically Jack Black is probably the best part of the movie for me. Also, you can just tell that Jack Black is having the time of his life when he was, recording himself, voicing Bowser. And also, if you've been following the Mario press tour that he's been doing, he's also had a lot of costumes of Bowser, and it just seems like he's having a really good time with this role. Another thing that I liked about this movie is the humor. This movie's obviously for kids, but it doesn't really have that stupid little kid humor that kids movies usually have. But in this one, it had a humor that was universally funny, where a 5-year-old could laugh and a 95-year-old could laugh. But the movie does have some ongoing jokes throughout the movie that are funny the first time or second time, but once it just keeps going, it's just not as funny. The final thing I'll talk about before I go into my criticisms for this movie is the score. And obviously we all know the iconic Mario score, but I feel like in this movie they had a lot more to play with, and they weren't just relying on the iconic score, because they could have easily done that. But you can tell that the composers were actually trying to do something different, but when they needed to, they would lean into the iconic score that we all know and love. Alright, let's get into some of my criticisms for this movie, and the first one is the licensed music that is in this movie. There is way too much of it. There's 6 or 5 big commercial hit songs in this movie that really have nothing to do with the scene that we're watching, but they're just there because I guess they're mainstream music and people like it. But at the same time, it kind of takes away from the scene, and I feel like it's just unnecessary. You could have just used the original score that they had for this movie, because the score for this movie is really good. But I know it's tradition for, kids' movies to have commercial music playing. And honestly, if I'm watching a kids' movie and there isn't commercial music playing, I would be a bit concerned. And I'm not against, commercial music being played during kids' movies. I just think it has to be done for a certain moment and done the right way. The last criticism that I have before I give my score is the pacing, and this is probably my only real issue with this movie, is the fact that it goes by way too fast. I know that that's intentional because they want the Mario movie to be speeding through stuff, but it felt like when I sat down to watch the movie, it finished in 10 seconds and I was already done, because the characters are going from here to here to here to here, and the movie never really has time to breathe and really let us live in this world, because it has so many things that it wants to do. And look, I'm not asking for this movie to have a 3-hour runtime, but I feel like this movie definitely needed another 10 to 15 minutes. And honestly, guys, the Mario movie surprised me. I did not think I was going to like this movie, and it's not because of the Rotten Tomatoes score. It was just my own personal concerns with the movie, but the Rotten Tomatoes score did not help me at all. But I do think that this movie is a decent time. If you're a Mario fan, you're going to absolutely love this movie. And if you're a little kid watching this, you're going to think this is the best movie of all time. But I'm personally going to give the Mario movie a 7 out of 10. What did you guys think of the Mario movie? Do you like it more than I did? Do you like it about the same as me? Let me know in the comments. And those are my thoughts on that.